Hey everybody, this machine needs oil in this gearbox. How do we figure out what to put in it? No owner's manual, no data, no way to figure it out. We'll show you. All right, so this is the original plug. All I did is clean it up. Tsugami always makes wonderful stuff, so we're gonna put the right stuff on this bad boy and seal it up. It's got some oil seeping out of it still. Let me dry it up real quick, and then we'll put a little bit of the right stuff on both sides of this washer, this bolt. Not on the threads necessarily, but we're gonna get it sealed up firm against the case right there. Get some on there as well. And we'll get that sealed up. Now it says that we can, right on the tube, this can go back together. Does it say 1 minute to service? And again, there's no pressure in this crankcase. It's tiny, but let's get this thing on there. Now, I'm not gonna, and I don't need to put a lot of pressure on here, but there we go. We can see that gear in there. We've left this cover on so everybody can see it. But we want to know what kind of oil to put in there. So here's the trick. It's a gearbox, so we need gear oil. So everybody knows, you just go on OVC and you calculate your pitch line velocity and run through the tables, and then you know what oil to get.
What's OVC.com?
That's oilviscositychart.com. That's where you go. So you put the number of gear teeth in here, and I've counted it and have some numbers for us. And then the gear pitch module, you know, either the pitch or the module, not both, one of the two. That's how big that tooth is. Well, this is on OVC also. It's also on Boston Gear. Here's the old original, if anybody knows about gears, George Grant made some of the very earliest gear making equipment. And these are all the pitches to scale. These are pretty close. These are the new ones. They're the same for what we're doing here. But you can look at the teeth in here, and let's just use the new chart. And, you know, that looks like somewhere between a 6 and an 8 diametral pitch. So for our purposes, we want to get close. I don't know what the OEM would say, but putting the right oil in here with a good series of knowledge is better than putting no oil in it or the wrong oil. So also, we need to know about how fast this box goes. So those are typically written on the motor, and if you've run it previously, you'd have some idea of that. So that's what OVC's got. That's how you get your pitches. That's where you get your RPMs. And then basically, it'll spit you out with an ISO grade. Now, this says AGMA, which is for gears. They're a gear Association of Gear Manufacturers Association, so they're involved with a lot of the OEMs on the equipment. And this is Sable unit seconds. It doesn't say ISO, but this 460 is the ISO number. So AGMA has recently conformed to ISO, so all of them carry the same ISO number. So we went through the charts, super easy. A few minutes will get you in the ballpark here, and came up with this ISO 460 oil. Gear oils are usually pretty heavy, thicker oils, more like honey, less like water. And you need that because there's pressure on these gear teeth. There's a big surface area, and the contact area needs a thick film of oil on it to protect that nice big worm gear right there. Okay, so here we are on oilviscositychart.com. There it is. And here's where you can figure all this stuff out. Viscosity index, standards, you've probably seen some of these charts before. Big list of oils, all the major brands are in here, and the ISO grade and the viscosity index. and some interesting article here. When you're calculating things, we really need this pitch line velocity to go get our gear oil ISO grade. So let's go to it. This gear tooth, I measured it and counted it, ciphered it a little bit. McMaster is super helpful in this regard. It's a 40 tooth, 40 to 1 gear ratio, about a 6 module, and now we're measuring the worm gear, not the worm. The worm's cooking pretty good, but it's a 40 to 1 ratio. So when we take our high velocity or high RPM from the motor divided by 40, we get this number, and that matches real close to what I think we're turning the workpiece at. So we're right in the ballpark, and I got a pitch line velocity of about 1.5. So let's just say the number's about 1.5. Well, if you come up over here to this chart, and our pitch line velocity is in all these columns. So right here, 55 degrees is about as hot as I'm ever going to get. Maybe even not that hot, but let's just say it's 55. But this is a range here. So as you can see, this 460, moves down in the temperature range, the lower this pitch line velocity is. So I just use 460 ISO for 55 because I'm real close to 1.5 or even lower at 1. And so that's where I get my ISO VG. And then when I come in here, I can pick any one of these guys, but let's pick mobile. And let's go to 460. And let's just see what we got here. And these are the types of oils. Now, here's some gear lubricant and other gear oils. We're not doing a rolling mill. There are gear bearings in here, but not sure. But if you're still not sure, you can come out here to the data sheet. It'll take you right to the OEM oil manufacturer OEM website, and you'll be able to come right in here and look at these oils and see what they tell you in terms of a product data sheet, etc. And you can from here download the data sheet and then call your local lubrication guys and get their opinion on all of this. Make sure they think you're choosing the right oil. So that's a pretty good rundown of what you're going to get, how you can get from A to B to get the right oil, and it'll take you right to the resources you need to make a really good choice for oil for your machine. So it's real simple. This one has a little level gauge right there. It's a super simple little system. So let's fill it up with the right stuff. All right, so we're just, you can see how thick that is as it comes out. So this gearbox isn't going to take a whole bunch, so I'm going to check it a few times. It's still dripping. Let that kind of slow down. Yep, I think that's full. So, looks like we've got power. We've got our shunt motor wired all nice and tight. So shunt motors have a little delay built into them, so I'm gonna hit the switch and turn it on. There's a delay, and then we ought to start moving. Now it's bringing that oil right up in there. just going to turn it down a little bit. It's very good to be able to run this at various speeds. So there's slow. Awesome. Sounds really good. ISO grades, a little bit of knowledge. Your machinery will last a long time. Those are really neat gears, but you don't want to buy a new one. Look in the stuff below. There's a lot of other good useful information in there about choosing oil for machines. Not only this, but the other hydraulic oils and spindle oils as well.